There's Keltec. They have the KSG. That's the new shotgun, which is in high demand. It's being used by the U.S. Border and Customs Patrol, as well as the State Department and some other government agencies. But Keltec, which is located right here in Cocoa, they make everything out of American parts by Americans right here in America. And guess what? They employ like 40% of their workforce as veterans. So for a crack at about $1,000 high demand shotgun, $10. $10 is all it takes, and we're hoping to have a raffle drawing on that coming up on July 21st during the Victory Casino Cruise Line, which is also a big benefit for AVET Project. And folks, all of the money, it's tax deductible through AVET Project. We're a 501c3, and we're out there doing the good work. American Warrior Radio is simply an outreach of AVET Project, and through the good folks here at WMEL, John and Vern Harper, who are both Vietnam veterans themselves, we're able to broadcast this important information to you. And also we have lots of guests, so you always want to tune in no matter where you're at in the country. Glenn, we covered some stuff in the last episode, and I know we kind of breezed over a little of it, but you had some interesting things from the clinic going on, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And right before we touch on that, let me remind everybody, because I'm one of the most cynical people about who you give money to, and you should get accredited representatives, and all those things are true, or I wouldn't tell you that. And, you know, AVET is a valid place to donate your money. They do mucho good things in the community to help our veterans and for those veterans that are deployed, and even more than that. And, you know, this shotgun, trust me, you really want it, because this doesn't look like any shotgun you ever saw. It looks like something RoboCop does on TV, and I want that puppy, so you better give me some competition here. It's only $10. It's only $10.
Exactly, and you described it, and all the episodes of American Warrior Radio are posted on YouTube and through AVET Project's Facebook page, so you can actually go to that and see a picture of it. It is pretty high-tech. Dual magazine, dual tube, as they call it, where you could have lethal and non-lethal rounds. It's the latest entry from Keltec, and it is just a super cool firearm. And for $10, you get a crack at a $1,000 shotgun.
Sounds like a great deal to me.
You know, and since we're on the subject of being out there in the community doing good things, folks, we've said this before, there are still plenty of free home games. The Manatees, which is the farm league of the Milwaukee Brewers, has a military salute going on through the remainder of the season. We've had great success with it so far, and as a matter of fact, one of the guys here at the station was attended. This is for any active duty or veteran. You get 8 beautiful seats right by the player's dugout. You get 8 hot dogs, 8 beverages. You get on-field recognition and a beautiful plaque just for recognition of your service to our country. You can jump on avetproject.org, go to the Facebook. Again, if you're like hesitant to get involved with social media and Facebook, it's really kind of easy. Just go to the lower left corner of AVET Projects, avetproject.org, go to the home page, lower left corner, click on the icon. You can read all about stuff. You can see photos, interviews, all kinds of current events and happenings, and you'll find information about this. It's free, people, one of our favorite words here.
Our most favorite word, free.
And there's still home games available. All you have to do is select one and then email Kim at avetproject.org. She will confirm whether that particular date is available, but it's free for any veteran or active duty member. So you and 7 of your friends, co-workers, whoever, just come on out to the ballpark. This is an opportunity for the community to say thank you for your service.
And a great free night thrown in with it. Can't beat that deal.
No doubt.
All right, well, we'll transition here over to give you some good notes and information about the meeting I went to at the clinic. They have a meeting for veteran service officers such as myself once a quarter, and to keep us informed on what's going on, give us a chance to input to them any feedback we think would be important to improvement in their operations, or just get the information about their operations so we can relay it properly to the veterans and their families that we serve.
Well, Glenn, don't they have a brand new part of the clinic out there? Isn't there a new addition that's opened up now?
There's a huge brand new extension, and they're still moving things around to fill that up and free up space in other parts of the clinic. And the bottom line to all of that is going to make care more efficient, which means each doctor is going to end up having 2 treatment rooms, so they can, if you're dealing with one client and you have to send them down the hallway for an x-ray, you can start working with the other veteran, and so forth and so on, the way you're used to getting medical care in the private community. But the VA has not had the space heretofore to do that. How's that for a big word early in the morning?
Went right over my head. So efficiency and expediency.
Yes, sir. And it's a beautiful new addition. Been down there a couple times. In fact, we had this meeting down there, and
in the new addition.
And one of the key words here is because of the addition, they're now actually staffing up. They're actually getting more people on board to be able to provide more timely care to veterans. There won't be as long a waits for appointments or in between appointments, as the case may be. Couple glitches with that, and I'm going to cover those also. But overall, they're staffing up, and I need to dovetail that into VISN 8, which is the Veterans Integrated Service Network, and you won't care to remember that after I said it, but that's the medical management people who manage Florida and Puerto Rico. Florida up to the line up there, what's the river in the Panhandle, whatever that river is in the Panhandle, Apalachicola or something like that. Yeah, one of them. It's an Indian name that I can't pronounce, but it's up in the Panhandle. Beyond that, west of that in the Panhandle goes up into Montgomery, Alabama for the VA
So it's
care.
a big region.
It's a huge region because Florida has the second most veterans in America, and we have the #1 most service-connected, severely service-connected disabled veterans. The most 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100% veterans in America. And we're one of the only 2 gainer states left where we're getting more veterans in every year than we're losing through attrition, which is a polite way to say death.
Okay, so it's big and growing.
Absolutely.
And so VISN 8, you said, is that relevant or pertinent to anybody, or is that just
well, what the relevance of it is that's kind of how the VA divvies out their budget money is through these VISNs, and we're getting, certainly it seems we're getting our fair share of the extra money that Secretary Shinseki talked about putting out there for the increased need for treatment for mental health issues. In particular, post-traumatic stress disorder is the one that most people hear about. There are, of course, a host of other mental health issues along with that. There's depressions and anxieties and many things that are rated in the mental health area. And the first thing you got to overcome, just like you did with my generation and certainly the generation before mine, and I'm the Vietnam era generation, and our new generation has the same things you have to overcome with them, and that's that they tell you, I'm not crazy. I don't need any mental health treatment. I don't need any help. I'm not crazy. I'm a young warrior. Leave me alone. And then, unfortunately, they're going out in record numbers and committing suicide and family breakups and many other things. So we need all the mental health additional professionals that we can get, and that's being increased significantly throughout VISN 8, and we're getting our share too. Right now on the books are another PA, and then
that's what, a physician's assistant?
Physician assistant, right. And then 3 nurse practitioners, that's the highest trained kind of nurses short of a PA, and then 2 more psychologists and 1 registered nurse. And the ultimate goal here is to have mental health professionals assigned to each one of the primary care teams in the clinic, so that you don't always have to go get a referral, go down the hallway, as it were, to the mental health clinic and see a mental health professional. If you need somebody on the spot, there's somebody there on the spot, so to speak. And I think that's a great addition and a great new way to approach these issues.
And it's super important to have these resources made available to our VISN, our region, because as reported through the New York Times, the Department of Defense stated recently that for every soldier killed on the battlefield this year, For every soldier killed on the battlefield this year, about 25 veterans are dying by their own hands. So suicide is, the rates increased 150% from 2001 to 2009. And a lot of this can be attributed to the lack or the poor access of mental health workers for our vets when they come into the clinic. They're being pushed off and delayed their treatment, and as a result they give up and they're hopeless as it is.
Well, exactly, and you know, it's unfortunately what I've always called a permanent solution to a temporary problem. But we got to get these young warriors attention, because it's more predominantly in the younger age groups than it is in the older age groups, and we've got a lot of people been deployed 3 times and more out of the Guard and Reserve who are older, of course, but they don't seem to be as prone to PTSD.
Well, and they're being forced to redeploy rather than receive the support they so desperately need, and as a result, it may not surface after 1 or 2 or 3 deployments, but eventually the strain is going to catch up to them. It's going to affect their family relationships, probably even their job on the battlefield. It's got to have an effect.
Well, yeah, and you know, it certainly seems that it crops its ugly head up, if you will, once you're out of the high stress combat environment and you have time to start reflecting on these things, and some may be against your ethical code and other issues, and you just mentally can't hack it without some help. And so I'm encouraged to see this increase in staffing to get the help to the veterans where they need it, right out in the field of VA healthcare, not just at the hospitals, but at the clinics like ours.
And as you mentioned, the Viera Clinic. Now, folks, if you're listening to American Warrior Radio someplace else in the country, say Oregon or North Dakota or wherever you might be, and you find that the VA services are not as available as they should be, you need to make some noise. You need to let the administrators at these various clinics and VA medical centers know that you can't wait 3 months for an appointment.
Well, that's right, and you'll find, unlike the older VA, when I started this business back in the early 90s.
Weren't dinosaurs still roaming?
Yeah, they were roaming around the hallways of the VA medical facilities. That place over in Orlando was absolutely horrible, and they treated you the same. And now you'll find new, modern facilities with people that actually care about you. So, especially at this clinic, I'm always impressed there about the care and the caring of the people, particularly those in the mental health clinic. Not to say that doesn't run across the board into the primary care teams and the nurses in the labs and what have you. So.
Okay, so we've got some important news on improved staffing in the mental health section of the VA. Anything else from the clinic?
Yeah, well, along with that staffing up is, and it's kind of an across-the-board thing, but more in the mental health, the clinic itself is 3 more psychologists, another social worker, another RN mental health type, 2 peer support specialists. Then they've got, on the general medical side, a couple of anesthesiasts coming in. One's a nurse assistant and one's a medical doctor, anesthesiologist, and those are hard to come by. I'm told that that's the highest paying medical profession there is on the outside. So
well, and they treat,
you can imagine it's a little tougher to recruit in the VA, which probably doesn't pay quite that.
Exactly, yeah, but and these doctors and caregivers are important because they address pain issues.
Well, absolutely, and you know, and they, as a reminder, they do outpatient surgery in the clinic here. They can't do something that requires overnight hospitalization or longer, but if you can do a daytime go home type surgery there, they do those all day long there. So they definitely need these anesthesiology people there.
And I think, you know, that's a big hats off to Dr. Howard, who's the chief of staff out at the Viera Clinic, because I'm sure he's been behind the efforts to get more staffing here.
Oh, absolutely. And then the new Saturn team, which they were able to put together a whole brand new team with the additional space we were talking about them getting, is expanding wound care because of an additional staff. And they're talking just like you were talking about. They brought in another person who's a PA for pain management, a vitally important issue. And then on the unfortunate side, we're losing our dermatologists, and just like anesthesiologists, those puppies are hard to come by. So for a while, our veterans that have dermatology issues may have to go back to Orlando again until we can hire another one here. But that's kind of a update on half of what's going on in the staffing arena there.
Right, and that's some important news for you folks that are here on the Space Coast, Space and Treasure Coast, and use the facility of Viera. There is a lot happening in Orlando with the new VA Medical Center. We're going to cover that and some other topics, but we just want you to know that things are on the upswing here regarding VA medical care, and Glenn's office is always here. What's your number at the office?
633-2012, 633-2012.
So if you have an issue specific to something maybe not medically related, but quasi-medically related, I'm sure Glenn and his staff there can help you with that. Folks, stick with us here on American Warrior Radio, right here on AM 1300 WMEL, because we'll be back with more in just a moment. Don't forget, when we're done with the program, get out to Post 163 American Legion and buy your Android ticket. See you in just a moment.